Chapter 1: A Colorful Peacock. I remember when I was little, passing through my neighbor's house and seeing this beautiful peacock. I would relate myself to a peacock in a way because when I meet someone, I start off shy with them. But once I get to know them, I end up having a good friendship with them. Like a peacock, at first it would just be a regular bird, but once it wants to get attention, it opens up its beautiful feathers and shows a mesmerizing color. So as with me, when I earn the person's trust, I end up being good friends with them and having good connections.
Wait a minute, Mr. Postman. This is like too.
Chapter 2: My Journey. It all started when I was born in Dallas, Texas. After 2 months, my mom and my dad split up and headed towards different directions. My mom and I moved to Mexico, and I basically grew up there. When I was about 6 years old, we later came back to the US and lived in California. Growing up, I always wanted to have a quinceañera. Out of all the hard work my mom did that year, I ended up having one. We invited a lot of family members and friends. I knew that day would be unforgettable. Chapter 3: My Dream. I remember when I was little, I always stayed at home and watched crime shows, like Criminal Minds, Law & Order, and many more. I always found them so interesting and how they could solve the crime. But the main thing that stood out to me was how the medical examiner/doctor would find out how they died. My dream goal is to become a medical examiner. It is basically a person who investigates the cause of death. After looking really deep into that topic, I now know that I have to take about 8 or 9 more years of school after graduating high school. So now I'm just working really hard in order to succeed in the future. Chapter 4: My Happy Place. Even though some people's happy place may be at Disneyland or theme parks, my happy place is the opposite. My happy place is with my family. I love spending time with my cousins, my uncles, my grandparents, and my dogs because they always bring me joy whenever I'm feeling down. Whenever I go to Mexico, we always spend time together as a family and enjoy the small moments together as a caring and loving family. Chapter 5: Influential People. Within the 15 years that I've been alive, I can say that I have 3 main influential people in my family: my grandpa, my grandma, and my mom. They have all taught me very different things, but they all have one thing in common: to be successful. I have learned many important values from all 3 of them, and I am very thankful that I have them in my life. They have guided me to where I am now, and they will keep guiding me until the end. Even though I have other people in my family that have been an influence to me, like my uncle, my aunt, and other family members, these 3 are valuable and will stick to me for the rest of my life. Chapter 6: Learning from my mistakes. When you're little, you make mistakes all the time and learn from them. When you keep making mistakes, you learn valuable lessons and you avoid from doing them again. A valuable lesson that I learned when I was little was that you shouldn't sneak out because there will always be consequences. About 7 years ago, I remember I snuck out with some friends and decided to go to a pool at night. It was such a rebel thing to do back then, so we got in trouble. The security guard ended up catching us and gave us a warning. I learned that I shouldn't sneak out or in general disobey the rules because there will always be consequences at the end. Hi, I'm Jackie.
I'm Diana.
So for chapter 7,
We're going to be talking about our PE teacher.
yeah.
We were going to the restroom and Jackie decided it was too late. So to take roll, so we went back and this teacher passed by us. We didn't really think much of him. So when we got there,
He looked at us with such oh my god, his face.
he was annoyed.
Yeah. And then we passed by a teacher, but we didn't think anything of it. So our teacher was like, hey, like, where were you? He was so mad, right? And then we're like, oh, sorry, we went to the restroom. And then the other teacher, the other coach, is like, no, you weren't. You guys were ditching. You guys were outside the gym. You were doing this and that. And I'm like,
He was assuming. So yeah, he got us in trouble. But yeah.
yeah. And like the thing is, like, I don't get why another adult gets in a conversation that's not even about him and like why.
But yeah, thank you for listening.
Stay tuned for the next chapter.
Stay tuned for the next chapter.
Okay, bye. Chapter 8: My Achievement. As silly as it might sound, I was always afraid of the water when I was little. While growing up in Mexico in my grandparents' house, my uncle and my aunt always swam in our house pool. I believe I was scared because of my fear of drowning. I told my grandpa that I wanted to learn how to swim because I wanted to be able to get in the water. At that moment, he had a surprising expression in his face. After a few weeks of practice with my grandpa, I started to get the hang of it. Later that year, I knew how to swim in the deep and was comfortable enough to go to the beach. The lesson here is that overall, learning a new thing can be very difficult, but once you start getting the hang of it, it will become easier. Chapter 9. Optimistic or pessimistic? I've always viewed life in a different way from others. I've always expected the negative part of life. I feel like I always had to be prepared to get the worst of things. I've always had the mindset of a pessimistic person. Some days I may think about myself as half optimistic and half pessimistic, depending on my mood and the people I'm around with. Being surrounded by wonderful friends at school has made me change my perspective, and I am now seeing things more clear. If it is just a regular school day, I am basically pessimistic. But if something exciting is going to happen at school or it's the weekend, then I'm optimistic. Overall, after writing this chapter, I changed my view in some way. And whether I relate myself as an optimistic or pessimistic person, I can now relate myself as both. Chapter 10. The Pearl of Wisdom. Through the whole 15 years that I've been on Earth, I still haven't received the full experience. Even though I've learned from some of my mistakes, I know that I need to make more in order to get a full perspective on how life really is. I've had meaningful mottos in my last 3 years that have helped me get through life so far. To everything there's a reason. This is a very important quote because every single thing you do has a cause. There is no winning without work. You should always work with your best effort and do your hardest in order to win and achieve your goals. Do your best at all times. I use this quote on a daily basis because this always reminds me to always do my best, and it also motivates me every day to try my hardest. Be thankful. I believe we should always be thankful every single day. Even if it's a small thing, you should always be thankful that you're alive. I think that having mottos in your life can be really helpful because they can help you be more prepared in the future, and also by setting your goals. These can inspire you towards having better ideas and having better habits.